I'm the villain. I'm mean. You can't have a nice villain like, hey, I'm here to go crazy.
You guys are fired. All right, welcome back everybody to the second episode of Esports After Dark. Today we have our glorious Rainbow Six leader, Supr, joining us today. I just want to point out what a fantastic outfit you're wearing today. Those colour combinations, you look like some sort of candy.
It's like a little Easter theme.
Easter?
Bringing the pastels as well, you know.
Easter?
Yeah.
It's not even Christmas yet. It's not even Halloween. Make sure we get those shoes on camera, by the way. Lift it. That's some fantastic...
They say Motherland on them. I have two different color shoelaces.
Motherland?
Yeah.
What's that supposed to mean? Wait, first things first, because for somebody who has no interest in shoes, how much were those shoes?
Like $250, I think.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a great way to start. How long you didn't buy them when you were here, did you?
No, I got them in Las Vegas.
Oh, Las Vegas. Oh, when you were
on road, not when I went for you. Yeah.
All right. I'll let you off then. So we're going to be talking a little bit briefly on this episode just about Rainbow Six, our season so far, the ups and downs that you all probably know that we've had. So obviously the season's just ended. We finished with 11 points.
I think we finished with 12. I'm pretty sure.
Do I have to Google it?
I'm pretty sure we have 12.
I'm pretty sure we had 8 going into the last week and we won against Space Station.
It's hard to keep count because we have so many.
Oh.
I just lose track. So
well, I mean, if you added the 8th place,
all I know is we're in last.
Okay, and obviously, I mean, we started off the season slow. What was that? At the halfway point, we were on.
We had 4 points.
4 points, and was it only TSM below us at that point, or was
we were tied with TSM, but they beat us, so they were technically ahead of us.
So how do you think the season? So now the season's over. I mean, we've spoken a little bit about this, but how do you think the season went? Were you obviously? I'm sure you think it's worse than you expected.
I would say it was a disaster, not only for, I guess, the results from the season, because I think we thought that we were better than like a last place team. Like in my mind going into it, I kind of expected to be like in the 4th, 5th range. Like I didn't think we were ready to be a top team, like near the top, but I didn't think that we were like a bottom tier team. And the first split was pretty rough, and then obviously we made the roster moves, and there was just a lot of problems that came up with that.
But we'll definitely go into that a bit. I mean,
so
that was a turbulent time for all of us.
I'm okay with how we finished the season because we did win 2 of our last 3 games. And the team we lost to is Rec, who made the season final. So
we lost to TSM.
Oh yeah. So we lost to TSM. Rec was when they were in Canada playing. So yeah.
Oh, because technically we played 4 games with them both.
Yeah, we played 4 games with Gomfi and Slebben, but the game against Reciprocity, Slebben and Gomfi had to play from Canada at like an internet cafe.
We could definitely go through all that. Okay. Yeah, we finished on 11 points, Rogue on 12, TSM on 15. Yeah. I mean, isn't that the highest point total for the bottom team though? Isn't I know like Europe's like 0, like 2 points.
Yeah, I to be honest, I don't really pay attention to those, like, their standings. I kind of just watch a couple of teams from other regions because I think have, like, interesting stuff they do, but...
It is. I've just checked.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, I also would say I think most people would probably consider us, like, the best of those teams, like, in those spots. Like, we're certainly going to be the most difficult, I guess, relegation match for any number 1 CL team.
I mean, for those of you, a couple of you have reached out and asked, obviously, why we made the changes, because obviously we went through Challenger League with Ghost and Avian, and I mean, I think Challenger League, from somebody who'd just come into the scene, because this was my first ever foray into Rainbow Six, I thought Challenger League was a lot closer than it was going to be. I thought that we were just going to waltz through it, and I remember when we got beat by, that it was then the 96 Dream Team, I was like, oh, and then we played Rise, and we luckily made it into the Pro League.
Yeah.
What do you think is the difference? Like, what, like for somebody who, like myself, who didn't know, what is like the major difference between Challenger League and Pro League? I know. Well,
I'll start by saying I thought we underperformed somewhat in Challenger League. Like there was like, I would say, a 2-week. I mean, to be honest, we played pretty well outside of like a 2-week span where I think we lost like 3 or 4 games. And then I don't think we actually lost a game outside of those 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like for whatever reason, we just had like a couple off weeks. But to me, that was also like kind of foreshadowing some of the issues that was going to end up transferring over to Pro League. But I would say like the main difference between Challenger League and Pro League is Challenger League teams are not that structured.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just like obviously a skill difference. Like our team, the first split with Avian and Ghost, we finished last. I mean, our matches really weren't even that close outside of like the game we won against Rogue. And in Challenger League, like it was basically like we had a very like ABC 1, 2, 3 like structured kind of style. Just like basically do everything correctly, and that was enough to beat the Challenger League teams because they just like. I mean, obviously I'm not in Challenger League this season, so I'm not as familiar with it, but in my experience, they're just not as, I guess you'd say, experienced or knowledgeable about what, like...
Well, that will go down to practice as well. I mean, I'm sure...
Yeah, I mean, we did have an advantage, obviously, in that, like, everyone was playing full-time, and in Challenger League, I don't think every team is full-time, although now probably a lot of them focus on it. But I think the main difference, at least in NA, because in EU, like, Challenger League is scary. But in NA, I just don't think there are organized teams outside of, like, 1 or 2. And it seems like there's also, like, usually just 1 or 2 teams that have the good players. And then the rest of the teams are kind of, like, mix and match of, like, maybe people who haven't been able to qualify for Pro League or people who didn't stay in Pro League, and it's like a mix mash of that kind of thing.
So obviously after Challenger League we made it to Pro League after beating Rise. Pro League started off poorly. I mean, we didn't get our first win till we played Rogue. So at the midpoint of the season, I remember
we had 1 win, 1 tie.
Yeah, what we tied with
Luminosity.
I remember we sat in this actual very office, and you came to me and you said, obviously, there's communication issues with the team. That was the biggest. I mean, a lot of people reached out and asked us why we did it. We didn't, want to say at the time, like, go out, but it was just a communication thing. I mean, I'm sure you can agree it was more of a. We've got some construction going on outside, so if you ever hear any weird noises during the whole of this, that's why. So we did make, Supr sat down in the office with me, and I said, what's going on, what can we do. It was actually me who said to you, I remember that, do we need to make changes to go forward to improve these issues, or is it something that we can improve by working on certain things. We talked about the free, who would be available in NA, and I said, not knowing that Rainbow Six had never done this before, was why don't we look at Europe. I asked you, is there any transfer and restrictions like there is in other games where you can only have a certain amount of import players? And you said no. And then obviously we ended up speaking to Gomfi, who I then said, and who ended up bringing in Slebben into the equation as well. And we, the idea was to bring them over. What do you think? Just so they get your perspective. Do you think going into Europe was the right move? Do you think? Obviously, we'll talk about the problems that we had afterwards. But what was it? Just those issues, the communication issues, why you wanted to make the changes? Because obviously, I know that you're like a good friend with Ghost as well. So, I mean, I know it wasn't easy for you, for you to make the changes.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Ghost and I are literally from the same city. We're both from Plano, Texas. But yeah, I mean. We had a couple issues. I mean, one was obviously the communication issues, which on our team were, like, at that point, really difficult. And to put that in perspective, we brought over 2 foreign players whose first language isn't English, and our communication improved. So, like, that was a big issue. And I think the other issue was that Ghost played a really passive style as an entry, and then Avian also was not an entry. He's like always been more of like a flex player. So, and then like Lauren and I have historically been like hard support players, and I was like literally playing like Ashe and stuff in Challenger League, which is not what I play. And that kind of goes back to Challenger League, that I was actually able to play Ashe like somewhat successfully. It's just like how bad Challenger League kind of is. But we kind of identified that like we at least needed to replace one player, and I feel like people have this idea of our team where it's just like if I want to replace somebody, they're just gone. Where it's like
that's categorically not the case.
I do like ask the other players on the team. Like I would go to Nep and Lauren and be like, you know, what do you guys think? They both had an opinion to replace Avian, which I am going to agree with there. And then looking around at the available players, we thought we needed a fragger in NA at that point. If you're a fragger, you're either under contract for a team, which we weren't interested in like buying somebody out at that point. And like also why, if you're on a pro team, would you want to be bought out by the team in last place? And then the Challenger League players, just the ones we identified, which I'll just say were like Mo Digga and Factor, who are both on pro league teams now. They were also requiring buyouts, which at that point I didn't feel like they were kind of both unproven in pro league, and given our situation, I thought we needed more of a known commodity because, like, obviously at that point we were attempting to get out of the relegation spot. Yep. So I thought that would be like, I guess what we did anyway was risky, but at least it was with like people who have like pro league track record, and you know both those Factor and Mo Digga have both been pretty impressive in pro league so far.
Yes.
So at that point, we were just, you know, you brought the subject to me about going overseas, and I thought, you know, it was worth a shot to at least ask because I knew, I told you at the time, like, Lestream, or formerly Lestream, they weren't under contract, but I couldn't see any of them wanting to come to NA, especially play for us because they're in, like, first place. And then, but, you know, Gifu had...
Gifu,
I don't know how they pronounce it. They were, you know, dropped from Mouse, and then I knew they weren't getting any salary, and they had basically a team of all fraggers, and I know Lauren had like a friendship, or she was at least like associate of Gomfi, so that she could at least talk to him, and kind of transpired from there.
Yeah, I remember, you know, because I remember speaking to them, and for me on the business side of things, I mean, I was under the impression of, you know, the European players could come over here, no problem. There was no buyout. It made sense at the time. Obviously, we managed to get, when you actually look at the overall cost, we managed to get 2 players for the price of 1 player's buyout, which was what we needed. And obviously that went into its own. We started straight away as soon as they said they were coming and the contract was signed. The P1, which for those of you who don't know is a professional athlete visa, which we get for all of our players from foreign countries. We have them for our PUBG players, and you know, if any player does need it, you know, I've just recently done one for an Australian player. He got it through, no problem. For some reason, in the 2 months, or you know, 6 to 8 weeks from getting that visa approved, I'm putting this. You know, we started their visa application in very early August. I know some casters have been out there and they've said, you know, they know how long this stuff takes. We didn't take it in time. Now, if you pay for an expedited P1 visa, which costs a lot of money, they give you a guaranteed answer within 14 days of them receiving it. So it gave us, you know, I wanted the visas actually done in August if we could, before the transfer period, you know, before that period closed, which was the 1st of September, right?
Yeah, it was the first.
So we worked around the clock, got that all sent off. The lawyer packed it up exactly the way he has with the other players. Other players we've done, no problem. These ones got sent back. They got asked for more information from the league and from you know, the producer, and that information took time to get. That's why we were given the extension in the first place, because obviously the only information that we were waiting for is the information from the league, etc. So that's why it was delayed. Now, they were allowed to play in Montreal, which was... I thought Montreal was a great success for us. I think that goes to show that this sport, which is, let's be honest, Rainbow Six is growing in popularity, but bringing over something that had never been done before, which was another huge thing for me, and then doing so well. Would you say we did better than expected in Montreal?
Yeah, given our group, I'd say so, because like I think at that point Gomfi and Slebben had maybe been here like 2 to 3 weeks, so we had like some practice with them, but a lot of that honestly was just running no strats, because Gomfi and Slebben just needed to get used to the like NA playstyle, which they thought was a lot different than how EU played. So, we basically had like a week worth of practicing with strats. I don't even think we had strats on every map. And we were able to get out of groups. I
remember the first...
Well, we played TS...
The first week or whatever, you guys took you just learning what you call things, because of obviously them having different names for everything that you guys
Right, yeah.
Which was, as you can... I can't remember which one you were arguing over, or something to do, like fight. Someone was calling it fight. I can't remember.
I call... Okay, so Talon's not going to be watching this, but on Rogue we have a call on like Consulate. The bathrooms are called Talon.
Why is that?
I can't say.
Okay.
They're called Talon. And then these guys obviously don't know who the hell Talon is.
Oh, it's a person. Oh, okay.
It's a player. It's a player named Talon. So like these guys don't know who the hell Talon is, so they're like Talon. Like they didn't know what that was. So like we had to change like obviously calls, because like Gomfi speaks good English. Slebben speaks pretty good English, but like he's not 100% like
better
English.
Than Finnish.
Yeah, he's not 100% like English affluent. So
Slebben,
we just had to figure out stuff that everyone understood clearly.
Slebben's one of those people who won't, like, you could sit there with him for 6 hours and he wouldn't say a word.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he won't shut up for like 10 minutes, and then like I think it's hilarious. So.
No, Slebben's actually pretty funny.
He's hilarious. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's got a terrible beard, but it's like
at least he tries. At least he tries.
Hairs on his chin. But yeah, I remember that was so you guys.
But yeah, no, going back to that, yeah, I would say DreamHack was a success for us. I mean, we got smoked by TSM, who went on to win the event. So that was what it was.
I remember you said to me after that game.
I said we're either the worst team ever, or they're gonna win the event.
You said we're either the worst team here, or the TSM are the best team. There's no in between, because they slapped us. It was a cafe.
It was Cafe. We were up 2-0, and then Achieved made that ridiculous 3v1 clutch, and then from there all hell broke loose, and they just smoked us the rest of the match.
Everyone's mental just disappeared.
So, and then the next day, like, we beat the group team, which obviously, to be honest, that was started off kind of scary.
Nep and I,
what
was that streamed, that game?
Because it was like on one of the B channels, but me and Nep and I won like 3 2v4s or 2v5s in that game.
That was bad.
And we beat them easily on the second map, but like that was a slow start. And then we go into that FaZe match and beat FaZe, which then was like I think a wake up call that okay, these guys are actually like you gotta take them serious, because FaZe is like all like probably considered like a top 5 team in the world for like the past year. So even the fact that you're able to beat them on a like new team.
Yep.
And I still think if we would have played Liquid with like some sort of break, we would have beat them, because we won the first map against Liquid. So if you don't know the DreamHack, like how it is, after we lost the first day, the second day we had to be there at like 10 a.m. We play the group stage. Get like 30-minute break, then we played FaZe.
Well, we had to find a place to sleep first. The next day,
because our Airbnb was a disaster. So literally, and this is why like, this is one of the reasons why like immediately after the event I was like, we're looking for a coach basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is so while we're playing FaZe, Liquid had 2 coaches there watching us play. We beat FaZe. I walk off the stage. The guy comes to me and he's like, "You got to do bans." I was like,
we've never even...
I don't know who Liquid are. I've never watched one Liquid VOD. I literally pulled up CGG and I was just like looking at what they banned most. I was like, I guess we banned this, you know. So we ended up winning Villa and then lose the next 2 maps. I really do think if we had like been able to play them the next morning or even got like
an hour or something,
to at least know what we were walking into,
yep.
we could have beat them, and then that would have put us in the top 4, where we would have played Evil Geniuses, who like obviously are a good team, but we've had success against Evil Geniuses in scrims, and I mean, we even tied Evil Geniuses after being up 6-3 with Avian and Ghost, so I think we would have beat them too, which would have been in the finals, where we would have got smoked by TSM again, but at least we were in the final.
Because I don't know what it was with TSM that month. They were on fire.
But yeah, I would say that was considered a success.
I would say so.
But also kind of like what could have been a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit... I'm with you. I came out of Montreal happy because obviously I thought the team definitely got to where I wanted it to be. After the first day, I was like, oh God, we like looked awful, you know?
Yeah.
And then even after that second match, I was like, oh Jesus. But then the phase match was like great to watch. I think it's still one of the best games I've watched.
If you haven't watched it because it was a DreamHack match, I would go. It's on YouTube. I'd go back and watch us versus phase. It was like a really back and forth match.
I still don't understand everything that goes on. I don't know, so I'm still trying to learn. But it was a really exciting match. So obviously we came back from Montreal, and it was just like so that everyone gets the clarification on this, because with obviously people were blaming ESL, people were blaming us. There's not really anybody who is at fault with them being delayed. The information that they were asking for was very, is very, very hard to get, and it takes time. And ESL has rules. So we found out on the Thursday that the visas would not be accepted without this information. The Thursday before the first Pro League game that they were supposed to play, and it was. I then reached out to ESL and I said, obviously, there's nothing we can do. This just takes time. And I sat on a phone call with Ubisoft the next week, and we were working our way around to get this information. Because let's be fair, esports is still a new thing, and immigration law is when you apply for a visa, it goes to a person who studies the case, and it's their decision. If that person has no idea what esports is, you're literally explaining to that person, and this person could be from any. They could be like, what is this rubbish, and just be like, absolutely not. With no long documented cases of years and years, it's hard to do. So ESL, I tried to speak to ESL on the Friday, and they were busy that weekend. So I ended up I actually got the email because I said, listen, we can't get it. Our lawyer, the visas that they had, they're from countries which are from a visa waiver program, which means you don't need a B1, B2 to come into the country. You just have a visa because the countries have a deal with this visa waiver program. I know it's not what we want, because we want all of our players to be able to get paid, medical insurance, whatever, and live here full time. But until we can work through this together, can the players play? There's no legal reason that they cannot. But ESL stood by their rules, which is fine. I mean, we had to take it on the chin. I personally didn't agree with it. It made no sense to me. I mean, my only question to them was who wins by making that decision, because the fans were excited to see them play after Montreal. We were super excited to see them play. And I guess, we've been practicing with them for 3 or 4 weeks at this point. And Ghost and Avian had gone back to to their homes, and they were doing I think that Monday that Avian was in Montreal at Ubisoft play testing the game. So I found out, I think it was 5 a.m. or 5:45 a.m. because of the time difference, that they couldn't play. Now, again, yes, I'm not going to say I was ecstatic about the news. I mean, I was obviously upset because of the investment that we'd made so far, but as I said in my statement before, we completely respected the decision and we go by it. That was a tough spot because we had Ghost playing from a laptop that first day. Now, first things first, huge props to those guys. Everyone thought we dropped them. I did not drop the players. They're on a sub bench, on our sub roster, just in case something like this did occur. But they stepped up and they played for us. And to their credit, neither one of them complained. They made light. They made light of the situation, even though Ghost's playing on a laptop and Avian's playing from an internet cafe. in Montreal. And unfortunately, I was then told, get them a B1, B2 visa while the P1 gets sorted out. So that's why when you did see them play, they were in Canada, because we brought in a specialist lawyer with who had done this before and knows how to get things done very quickly. So that cost, I'm not even going to say how much that cost, but it was a big pill to swallow. So we flew them out to Canada, and they had the interview the next day and got approved for their B1, B2 so that they could play. Again, ESL stuck by their rules, even though the law is the same between a B1, B2 and the visas that they were on. They stuck to the rules. So as much as you guys may have, it was great to see you support the players and want them to play. You just got to accept that they are the rules written in the book. They are up to their discretion, but they made that rule. They made it abundantly clear that if they didn't have the P1, P2, that they couldn't play, that's what they had to get. So put that one on, sweep that one under the rug. They can play now. I know it wasn't great because we couldn't get them there for the rest of the season. I strongly believe, I'm pretty sure you will as well, Seth, that I think that if we had them for the whole second half of the season, I think we could have finished above.
Oh, I think we would probably be in like 5th, to be honest, because I don't think we would have lost to Luminosity. I don't think we would have lost to EG, and that's 6 more points. That would put us in like 5th place.
Yep. So I mean, that puts us in the. I hear everyone speak that Soniqs will be fine in relegations. I'm still a nervous wreck about it. I mean, some people we've got some questions. I think people think how confident are you of now? Keep in mind, I'm a very superstitious person, and I believe that you can jinx things. So, what are your feelings on relegation? How do you feel it's going to go? Are you confident with it, or that's someone's asked that question here. Cheer R6.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I won't say I'm looking forward to it or anything, but
rather not do it.
I think for us, we believe that our team is good enough to where we probably wouldn't be in this situation if we had this team for like the full season. So if we just play like the team we are, we're not really focused on one single opponent. It's just if we play like we should, I think we'll win. And if we play bad, I think there's a chance we lose. I'm certainly not going into like it's going to be easy. It's a joke because, last relegation, when we were in Challenger League, I think most people considered us the favorite to win going into 96. The match against 92 Dream Team. 92. And they beat us, and then we were able to rebound and beat Rise, but just, this time you only have one shot. If you lose, you're out. If you win, you're in. So, I mean, there's a bit amount of pressure with it, knowing that, like, basically if you win the match, your job is secure for, another year, basically. Mm-hmm. And if you lose the match, you don't really, your future's pretty cloudy. So I think,
up in the air.
Yeah. So I think we, we just want to play our best and focus on being the best us we can be. And hopefully that's good enough for us to win.
Good. Well, we've got some questions, obviously, from people. I don't want to drone on about the visas issue. As far as I'm concerned, that's swept under the rug now. So one of the questions that I always get, this is funny because I get random angry people message me on Twitter, and you seem to have this. I mean, I'm not sure if Americans know what it is, but we call it Marmite. And Marmite is like, for the Australians out there, it's like Vegemite, right? And it's this spread that you put on toast, and it's one of those tastes that people literally adore or despise. And I see you as a Marmite guy. You seem to have people who absolutely love you, mm-hmm. Or people who absolutely hate you. Mm-hmm. Now, how do you? Because someone here says that how do you feel? How does Supr feel? This is Danowski Noah says, how does Supr feel to be the NA villain that a lot of people love? Would you say you're the villain of Rainbow?
Probably an NA, maybe. I don't even necessarily think of myself as a villain. I think, in my opinion, I am truthful about my thoughts and opinions, and I don't not say what I'm thinking, whereas other people may have more of a filter on some stuff they say. And obviously, if you kind of just say whatever you want, some people won't like that and some people will.
Is that why you delete your tweets so fast? Because I mean, I'm sure there's someone's coded something out there that every time you tweet, takes a screenshot of it.
Oh, well. So, in regards to the tweet delete, most of the time I delete it because I already know somebody's going to have it for Reddit, or the person that I tweeted has replied. So, in my mind, the person I'm talking to already saw what I said, or I already know everyone's going to see it because, people, like have notifications on for my tweets.
Right.
So, it's going to be on Reddit anyway.
So do you do it on purpose?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, you just do it. So you are just... So would you say you don't mean most of it? You just do it for...
It depends what. Some things I'll say just because I know people will like lose their mind over. Other things I say because it's the truth, but other people won't say it.
Well, there you go. So he's not.
But 100%.
He's not the villain. He's the fisherman.
But 100%, people can take it differently. Just like even orgs can take it. Like Rogue took my tweets differently than you guys do. It's just like
because
everyone has a different perspective.
I didn't know this when I first approached you way back in January or even before then.
I think it was like in December.
December, yeah. That I didn't know that because I said R6 was brand new to me at the time. It's just something that I seen that was someone actually, I can't even remember who it was, told me that this team's available and I should get into Rainbow Six. So I reached out to you. I didn't know that it was the super tweets that got him in trouble.
Yeah, apparently when I was on Rogue, somebody had like amassed like a large list of tweets, took pictures, and then emailed it to like Rogue. Oh. And then at the time, Rogue was just then getting into League. So they didn't want like a potential... Like in my opinion, I don't say things that are that bad.
Well, when I found out, I did scroll back through your Twitter, and it only goes back so far. So it's like you had a purging.
Well, after that, I did delete every tweet. But, my tweets have always been the same. I don't think I really say anything that bad. I think some people are more sensitive than others.
Some of them are... I don't know why. Some of them, like... I'm trying to think of one that came to mind. I'm like, really? Oh, no, I'm not going to bring that one up. Yeah, that one. We spoke about that one. I was like... That's a risky play there. It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
I don't tweet anything. I'll say this: I don't tweet anything that I wouldn't say in person.
I know him in person, so I know he doesn't hold back there either. It's not like he's a keyboard warrior. So that does actually lead to somebody else's question. Where is it? It was. Oh, I'm blind. Oh, there it is. This was Brandon Adams, 16. He said, you were once part of Rogue. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I believe it was going well when you were on Rogue.
Yeah, we finished second in Pro League, qualified for USN and Invitational.
Now, the question would be, do you think Rogue are going through struggles because of anything in particular? Or do you think it's because... I normally think that the scene gets strong. The longer a scene is... Like, if you took teams from 2 years ago... and have them play this year, they probably all get smoked because the game evolves, and I think that the standard always gets better.
So this is like, what do I think is wrong with them?
Well, it does specifically ask, what is the issue on the team?
How? Okay, so
share what you can, but don't get yourself into trouble.
So since you're you, what could I say in what's the law? Because I know exactly why.
I would just leave out mentioning individual names. Just
Okay.
Don't put anyone on blast.
I will say, since I was removed from Rogue and they replaced me with Vertical, who Vertical is a great player, obviously. I'm sure many of you would say better than me. I disagree. Better aimer than me, for sure. So they replaced me with Vertical and put Easily in my role when I was on Rogue. Shuttle played Vert's role as like the fragger, and then Easily played the flex role, which I think Shuttle plays now. So I think they picked up like a very hard fragger and then tried to turn Shuttle into more of a support and Easily into a hard support, which isn't their strength, clearly. I think everyone on that team is like individually a very talented player, but as a team, they just don't mix and match.
Did you do as much work? Because on this team, you do the lion's share of.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
I mean, was it a shock to you then when you got? Did you know you were getting removed from Rogue, or was it?
So like, if you don't know, like on Rogue, I made the strats, prepared for like all that stuff, and that was one of the issues, like, because there's like a little bit of a known beef with me and Ranger, who is the former Rogue coach, because I kind of, after I was on Rogue, said like he didn't do anything, which I'm still gonna say he didn't do anything, but they told me, so like we were all moving to the team apartments in Las Vegas, and we had just qualified for the season final. They told me in between that time, so before the season final, which is why I trolled there, that I was going to be removed from the team because Rogue had asked the team to remove me. So at that season final, I got like 2 kills because I just was trolling.
That's normal now, though, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good game. That's a good game for me. But no, I mean, it's hard to go into a match and play for a team you know you're not going to be on. What would you care? Like, you don't care. Especially, you know me and how much work I put in. Yeah. So in my mind, I put in all this work to get the team there, and then they're just like, sorry, you can play this, but after that you're gone. I'm just like,
how hard did you take it? Because I didn't know you back then, obviously.
I mean, I disagreed with it, but
did you think it was the end of the road, or
no? Because at that time, Alpha Gang, which was this team previous, because I started the team and then I left the team. I was just going to join back with them after Rogue because they were in the Challenger League. They were in the final to make Challenger League. Instead of me and Lauren, it was I can't even remember who was on the team at this point, but they had 2 different players. They ended up losing the match to get into Pro League. So after that, I was like, crap, because our team at that point was going to potentially be me, Hyper, Ghost, Avian, and Trippin', and then Ghost was really good friends with Bolo, and we were going to pick up Bolo at a later date. Wow. So that was potentially the team that could have been, but they lost, and then like that became this team,
right? Basically. Okay.
But
I think it's all worked out.
Yeah, but I would say, like, I think the second half of the season with Rogue is they try to drop a specific player at the like midway point. That roster move did not go through because they couldn't get the player they wanted, but the person they tried to drop knew they tried to drop him. And so now that person's in the same boat I was in, where you're just like, screw these guys. Like, they don't want me on the team. Like, so I just think there's a lot going on with Rogue. I think they'll be fine. I expect them to win relegation.
I mean, from me watching Rogue, they look like they're either amazing, they're like a tap. They're either on or they're off. It's like
I think that comes down to like they have great individual players, and the team play is not as great. So you see a lot of great plays, and then you're like, wait, they're still losing. This guy just had 3 kills. How are they still losing their own? That kind of thing.
Okay. I mean, as long as it's all worked out. I mean, everyone's still
alive and kicking.
So there you go. That was very well. It was very political. I think you handled that pretty well. I was scared of asking that one. I'll be honest. I thought our editor was going to be like that. That would have just been
I'm a company man.
It would have just been. I would have asked the question. You would have just been edited to go in, and that would have been it. So okay. Oh, this is a good question. When did you start your gaming career? It's like 1862. We told me. Sorry, that was from Diabetic Beer. Said, when did Supr start his gaming career?
It's hard to know an exact year because I can't really remember that far back. If you don't know, I'm pretty old.
Tetris. You're nearly as old as me, and I'm old.
But I played Rainbow Six Black Arrow on the original Xbox, which I think is around like 2008 area. And from there, I played Vegas 1, like...
what was it? Rainbow's Black Arrow?
Rainbow Six Black Arrow. It was on the original Xbox. My name was Mubar, and I would play in my living room in front of my parents. 2004, yeah. My
first Tom Clancy game was Raven Shield. When did that come out, Corey? That's when I played Raven Shield.
But to put that in perspective, I've been playing Ubisoft Rainbow Six games since 2004.
on an Xbox? Dinner, please.
I played on Xbox, and then I was a MLG Pro for Vegas 1 and Vegas 2 on Xbox One. Then I played Siege professionally on Xbox One for the first season, and I quit because the game was awful on console. And then I came back and played on PC when they moved it to PC.
Has this been your favorite game to play competitively so far?
No. I think Rainbow Six Black Arrow was the best Rainbow Six.
That's probably, that's rose-tinted glasses, and that's what you remember playing it.
Rainbow Six Vegas 1 was also really good, but it's just like way different now because there's just like so much more money and like interest. Like it's always, you kind of have like the like old man thing where you like think about like, what if I was 10 years younger right now? How good would I be? I'd be as smart as I am, but my shot would be... I'd be as smart as I am, but my shot, I'd be shooting like Nep out there. I'd be like the Terminator.
Okay. I mean, you did pretty well last week. What was it? So...
Yeah.
Rolling back the years. So just, what did you eat that day?
I mean, I was Mr. 1.6 2 seasons ago, so it's not that far.
Like halfway through the season, you were like Mr. 0.6, weren't you? What happened to the one?
All right, so in my defense, it's hard playing flank watch or IGLing or doing anything on that for a team that loses every game. I'll put it this way. If somebody on a team that's in last place has good stats, that person is a baiter. They're playing for stats. Everyone, if you're trying to win on a bad team, should have bad stats.
Okay. Makes sense, I guess. All right. Someone said, this was Ronan Halpin says, does Supr ever take off his hat?
No.
I've seen him without his hat on.
I'm not bald. I have like hair.
He has more hair than both me and Corey put together. So, I mean, Corey doesn't
hats are kind of just like my
add
look.
any.
It's just like my look. It also makes me look meaner, which I kind of thrive off of this.
Well, yeah, I don't think you're mean. I've known you for like 8 months now. I don't think you're mean. I just think you're smart.
Yeah, but most people...
You struggle... You have this angry demeanor, but you're not angry. You just come out. If people look at you, they think you're. Hence why I didn't take you to that middle school to meet the children.
Yeah, but see, that's why you
because you'd scare them.
You gotta stop because there's the aura that I'm mean.
You want that.
I want people to think I'm mean.
But he's not.
I'm the villain. I'm mean. You can't have a nice villain like, hey, I'm here to go crazy.
You guys are fired.
Like, yeah. I just like to portray being mean. I don't think I'm actually mean.
As I said, I think...
If I was as unlikable as some people seem to think I am, or portray myself, Nep probably would have like jumped out the window by now. Nep's been teaming with me for like a year and a half.
True, and Nep in like the last... I've never seen... The first 3 months, I don't think I ever seen Nep.
Yeah.
When you guys moved out here. Now he's like the first one here every day. I see him like falling asleep on the couch and stuff.
I think it's... I just think we were so bad for that small... Because, like, when we went in Pro League, obviously we had an expectation. And then the way that we were playing in Challenger League didn't translate to Pro League. That like it was, like, too predictable. And we weren't able to have spontaneous enough calls. Or, like... We didn't have enough free thinkers to, like, do stuff on your own. So if you're in Pro League and every Pro League team knows this is a team that can't... Like the players on the team have to go by the 1, 2, 3. Yep. It's very easy to prepare for. Yeah. Now I feel like you don't know what the hell is going on because sometimes I don't know what the hell is going on.
You've got Slebben running around like a madman. I outflag you in my sleep.
That's a good story.
That's the story for another time. Okay, someone said obviously I have kind of a first hand of this because my office is above the scrim room, and I'm always around when they scrim. It's like super. This is somebody asks. I always look at it. Lil Salt TV asks, how do you feel about the community saying you're a toxic scrim partner?
Like for teams that scrim us?
I don't know. I mean, I always know there's a lot of drama around scrims. I know you have like a no flies list with people that you'll just stop scrimming with.
Oh, it's a blacklist. Yeah, people play like... And I know I'm not the only pro team that does this because I obviously am friends with like all the players on pro teams, so I'm familiar with like who they'll scrim and won't. So if you're a Pro League team, there's a certain style of play that you need to be able to practice.
You practice how you play.
And against.
Yeah.
So if you're playing people who like, I won't say Challenger League because we scrim Challenger League, although some of those teams are the people who tweet about scrims, which is why they're probably in 6th place right now. But
at least he didn't drop a name.
Like tier 3 teams.
Did I say drip or drop a name?
You said drop.
Oh, but it was drip. But anyway, so there is like in NA outside of Pro League, scrims are really weird because most of the teams, I'll give like Rise some props, don't play organized. So it's really hard to scrim like you need to be for Pro League when teams are like just running around like
jumping out of windows
or just crouch walking, no drones, like all that kind of stuff, because it's not really good practice for you.
Because I remember when I was in Houston and Dark Zero, Zach, the CEO of Dark Zero, invited me there. He was like, we sat down. He said he was a big fan of yours. I told you this.
Who is it?
I mean, we could do a poll. I guess we could attach a poll to this. Who is a big fan of Supr? Who isn't? And he said that that you've banned and unblacklisted Dark Zero a million times, which I thought was hilarious because I
have a particular reason for them though.
We don't need to. We got a Dark Zero.
I like the people on Dark Zero. They're just. Never mind.
Okay, good. I like that. They're fine. It's all. Everything's fine. So
they're better than us.
They've done very.
They're basically better than everyone
right now.
Yeah,
technically. I mean,
we'll see how they perform at Japan.
Hopefully,
I'm hopeful that they win because they've kind of had like a good run here as being like the best team in NA by like a pretty wide margin. Like I don't think you watch it and you don't know that much about it, but they're better than everyone basically. Mm-hmm. They just haven't had it like translate to LAN yet, but Empire and G2 didn't qualify for the season final, so I feel like this is like
their chance.
If they're gonna win something, this is their time to like put their foot down and just be like, we're here now.
Well, I wish them the best. I want them to win too, so I like it when NA teams win when we're in NA. Where was I going with this? I got completely sidetracked off that Japan thing. We'll talk about Japan in a second. So obviously, going back to the. People always say to me, this is we have to address this. I've had 1,000 people ask, and I got to a point where it's hilarious, and people always think, doesn't matter if you could go out there and have a terrible game and everyone jumps on you, mm-hmm. and then you can go out there and have a great game and everyone still jumps on you. Mm-hmm. Like you got a couple of people pick you up, and people say, why has Supr not been dropped? Now, for those of you who don't know, I work here every day. Seth works incredibly hard. He does. I mean, I've never met somebody who is so angry at one moment, but then super calm in the next. Like me walking past you guys when you scrim, mm-hmm. you're shouting. I can hear you from the other side of the building, mm-hmm. and then come match day, you're like, "It's okay, guys, don't worry about it."
I think that I've always had a mindset, and this is why I think like certain people can't play with me. And the people that do, for the people who think I'm so awful, if they didn't want to play with me, they wouldn't. Nobody's forcing them to team with me. I somehow keep being on Pro League teams. So
true.
And also, like, within our game, similar like CS, not every player on your team is going to get 10 kills a game. Right. Some people have to bite the bullet, and they're going to go negative, and they're going to get roasted. I mean, Lauren is also one of these people going to get roasted because you have bad stats. But at the end of the day, your stats don't matter if you're winning. We're just in the position that we're not winning. So then they're like, what are these idiots doing, getting 5 kills a game? Yeah. If we were winning the games, you'd be like, wow, they're the best support players in the world. Yeah. Well, like when I was on Rogue, I didn't hear any complaints about my support play. I'm on this team and we're in last place. How is this guy on the team? His dad owns the team.
Well, that's it. We have to address that. There's seems to be a bit of a thing here. People go, does Superstad own the team? Am I Superstad? I'm 3 years older than Supr, so
that would be weird.
We start earlier in the UK.
You're also British.
That too. We do start earlier in the UK normally, but not that early. So does Superstad own the team? And that's why you haven't been removed, because technically, who is whose boss in this room? According to the internet, am I your boss or are you my boss? Does anybody know? Do we let?
Is anyone really my boss?
Who? Hey, I don't. If you believe
I
the
actually
rules,
have a question about that. So the people who say like, "Does my dad own the team?" Is that because I tweet like crazy stuff or whatever, argue with everyone, and nothing happens to me basically, or is it because they think I'm so awful that the only way I could be on the team is if like I owned it?
I think it's the latter. You definitely don't. I don't think your tweets are that like. If your tweets were terrible, I'd speak to you.
Yeah, but like again, going back to that, I actually don't think I say things that bad.
No, me neither. That's right.
I think people are just not used to.
I think it's because it's you.
Yeah, but what do I do?
No, because of your past reputation, anything that you say, they're going to take it being 10 times worse.
I don't care.
So, because of the reputation, that's why they think. I mean, we can go. I think should we go on record and say that Super's dad owns the Soniqs?
Yeah, he's the owns the Soniqs. I think I talked about this before. One of the founding fathers.
He was removed from Mount Rushmore. Because,
yeah.
He had to keep his identity a secret.
Yeah, it's not the people who are in the front you should fear. Yeah, it's the people in the shadows.
People behind them. He's flying in next week on his private jet, so
it's true.
He's coming to give me a yearly review to see if I keep my job. So if you don't see another one of these podcasts,
I think he's giving me a promotion.
Oh, are you becoming me? And a player and a coach?
No, I think I don't know what he wanted to do. Something about CS. I think we're picking up a team and playing there.
Fair play.
So news break.
Breaking news. So there you go. Now you all know. Okay, well let's start winding it down because we start to hit the hour mark. Who do you think is going to win Japan? Who would you put in the top 4 in Japan? Do any of the South?
So like okay. I want to say Dark Zero, but I actually don't have faith in them to perform on LAN, which I feel bad about. So I'm going to say FaZe and Reciprocity, and then...
You think because Rec have been playing better lately, haven't they?
They have good LAN players.
Yeah.
Whereas like with Dark Zero, I think they're really good, but they have to kind of like prove it to you first. Do something on LAN to prove you're really good on like, Have you ever won a LAN? You haven't, right? No, I got second.
Who beat you?
Goddess. But also Rec. The same team that's Rec. The same team
Cloud 9 though, right?
Yeah, they were Cloud 9, but the same team that's Rec is the team that beat me. So, but I would say them and FaZe, we beat FaZe, so that would look good on us.
No, good for them.
And then...
What about Liquid? Did they make it? They must have made it.
No, they didn't
make it.
Ninja in Pajamas. Oh, funny story. The Julio, the guy, the captain of Ninja in Pajamas, after they beat Liquid on Villa, he DM'd me on Twitter. He's like, "Hey man, thanks for the strats, great VOD." I was like, "What?" He's like, "We just copied all of your strats on Villa against Liquid and beat them. Thanks, we're going to LAN because of you." It's like, oh.
Well, there you go.
And if you watch back their VOD, they banned the same stuff we did, and they did all of our same defenses, and they beat Liquid on Villa.
Oh, there you go.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's news for me. So who do you reckon is going to get top 4? Those two?
FaZe. I mean, it's tough because the brackets aren't out yet, but I'd say FaZe, Rec, Navi, and then Dark Zero or Giants.
There you go. I mean, it will depend on the bracket. But that's funny that you say that about Nip reaching out, because a lot of people have asked us, you do our coaching right now because we are, as you said before, we are actively looking for an analyst / coach, but we're just trying to find the right person because it's hard with my coaching background in grassroots sports to trust. My coaches really need to know their shit before we start paying them. Our coach's salary, because a coach should technically, job should be more than just watching VODs and telling you guys what to do. But I think I'm sure people have asked here, have you ever thought about coaching, or somebody, I've jumbled a few questions together here, so I'm not going to say the names. People asked, have you ever thought about coaching after you play, or are you...
I'll answer that in like 2 different ways. So in regards to us hiring a coach or analyst, if you saw on Twitter, we obviously did make a couple offers to coaches. Like I got in an argument with Gotcha. We did offer Gotcha to coach us.
We did. Yeah. Well.
I have found an analyst who will hopefully be working for us once we requalify for Pro League. Hopefully. Yeah, I think he's really good. So we have found an analyst. In terms of coaching, part of it is I did have a bad experience, in my opinion, on Rogue with Ranger. I just didn't think that he contributed anything to a coach, and I know what he was getting paid, and it's just like, to me, like, waste of money there. And I wouldn't ask the org, knowing what they've also spent on our team, to just like, hey, get my friend to come coach the team. Like, you know, I'm sure, because I know if I told you, like, this guy would be a good coach, you probably would hire him.
Yeah, because I trust your.
But I wouldn't, like, in my opinion, as of now, there's not a coach that could do, I guess, what strats or like VOD review better than I could. So until I think there's somebody that could, we're just going to go with an analyst only. And if, you know, obviously I thought Gotcha was a good enough coach. If there's like a good enough coach that becomes available, we'll like obviously look into that. I'm just not someone who wants to hire someone to hire someone.
Well, he's proven that you can be a player coach, and technically you want to.
That's one way to put it. He's proven to be something. In terms of me going into coaching after I'm done playing, I'm not really sure, because I feel like I'm overqualified to be a coach. I do really like Rainbow, but yeah, I'm not sure if I'd coach or not.
So the last question from one of the last questions from Peppy Max. Do you feel like Slebben and Gomfi roster move is something that sets a precedent and more orgs will follow it in the future, or do you reckon players will stay within their own regions? I'll let you go first this time.
I would say definitely. I'm hopeful that the kind of situation that arose with our org and getting the visas doesn't like deter orgs from doing that, because I think that they'll like obviously see that and be like, well, what happened there? But I definitely think there will be more like international kind of transfers, just because it'll honestly just improve the competition in the game. Like, you know, in EU right now, there are 2 teams in Challenger, maybe 3 teams in Challenger League who are like probably Pro League teams here.
Well, it's that one from Montreal. I can't remember the name now.
BDS. And then Team Secret, who won Vegas, who's right now, they're not even going to make relegation. And then Fours, who's the other Russian team who got top 4 at the major. All 3 of those teams are in Challenger League right now.
I didn't.
So one of those teams isn't even going to be able to play relegation. Whereas, like, if they're here, they're probably in Pro League. So I think in Europe right now, there's a lot more talent, which obviously opens up the door to, like, these teams that either get relegated or that don't make relegations, or, I mean, to be honest, want more money in America or whatever, whatever your issue, you know, you just want to be in America, come here. You know, you have more opportunity.
Do you not think the only downside to that I see is, I think if you're going to have, I would like to see more players come over, but I also don't want it to be like more like early days of League of Legends, where teams would then end up just being all like, you'd be in an American Pro League, but all the players would be.
I think European. With that, like, I think it would go to like, if this became a commonplace thing, they'd have to put in the rules where like
1 or 2 only.
Yeah. I think it's in league. You can have like 2.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, like a limit on the amount of like foreigners you can have, basically.
Yeah, because you still got to grow the home talent, and orgs obviously. I know how hard it is, but again, it's changing. It's all going to change next year, I assume. I mean, I sat down. I know from my conversations that, you know, that the rules in place right now are quite archaic, and they need to be flexible around that. And I would like to see more people come in, but again, I hope it's not too many, because it takes away from the growing scene. And this game seems to be getting more popular, especially with younger people, which is crazy. Of Slebben and Gomfi, how Slebben and Gomfi changed how we play? We know you said you were more structured. Is it just that we're just more?
I think we're just way more aggressive. It's almost like a confidence thing where like, maybe on our previous roster, we weren't the most confident or the most able to kind of adapt on the fly. Whereas now we kind of have people who, I wouldn't say they're thinking, but they're able to act on like an impulse to just like make a play.
They're being proactive, not reactive in a way.
Yeah, they'll force the issue rather than have, we're just sitting in a stalemate for half the round
until something happens.
Yeah, so I think we're just much more aggressive, and I'm pretty sure you can see that watching our games, or just like ask basically anybody who's played.
Well, it's weird for me because, like, from someone watching with our old team, we were really, really good on like defense. That seemed to be our strength. Whereas this team, it seems to be the opposite. We seem to be more aggressive and better, winning more attack rounds.
That goes like the defensive. We're working on it. I think a little bit of that is from talking to Slebben and Gomfi, and obviously, like, our struggles on defense are not just on them, but as the roamers in Europe, they kind of told me that, like, in Europe, it's almost like deathmatch, where, like, if you're roaming, you're getting kills, you're playing to get kills, you're killing. That's it. Whereas, like, here, I feel like NA is much more passive, and the goal here to me is you're killing time, not necessarily players. If you kill players, sure, but it's more important to me to waste their utility and say waste a minute 30 of the round, which I will say Avian and Ghost were really good at doing, was like delaying without dying. Whereas right now, I think we're in a little bit of an in-between where we're kind of starting to get it, but we're also kind of still like, let me peek this door real quick and see what's going on. Sometimes you just don't need to peek.
I'm bored.
Yeah. Sometimes you can just get
maestros from across
at the end of the day, the game is not a death match. It's attack and defend. So you don't have to kill everyone.
Well, that is certainly true. Well, I'm looking forward to. Obviously, we've got a couple of things coming up next week. I'm looking forward to relegations being over, but I'm looking forward to next season. Do you think next season's going to be a bright season for yourself?
Assuming we qualify, because I don't want to assume anything.
Correct.
It's bad luck.
Bad luck. Touch wood.
I think we will have a much stronger performance, and if we do requalify, and either way, we do have USN in December as well.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they did announce it. It's in Vegas. The 15th through the 17th, or 13th through 15th. You can look it up.
You sent it to me.
Yeah, but yeah, so we will be in Vegas regardless in December with the team,
with our US nationals, with our fully US team.
Yep.
We're just gonna not let
hide
Slebben talk.
You gotta hide the Finnish flag on the jersey.
Gomfi could probably get away with it. He's got.
I mean, I will say, in last USN, they had a guy named Canadian play.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So
we just need to call
Finnish.
Gomfi's new name is Texas, and Slebben's is
Finnish. Just Finnish.
The Finn.
Yeah.
The Finn.
The flying Finn.
All right. I think we've covered enough. We're definitely going to sit down and do more of these as time goes by and new things arise. This was episode 2. So if you've got any closing remarks you'd like to make, so we're not here all night.
No.
Well, thanks guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow the Soniqs on all of our social medias, because there's going to be some huge things coming up in the new year with us. We may or may have our own event planned for Rainbow Six coming up, so definitely stay tuned for that. I'm working on it behind the scenes. So thank you so much, guys, and good night.